Hey guys, and welcome back to the Cornerstone Youth Markham's YouTube channel. My name is Sarah, and today we are continuing along with our series called Lost and Found, where in this 4-week series we're going to explore a series of stories that Jesus once told about things that were lost and then found again. Have you ever lost something or thrown something away that you later regretted?
In my home, I have a good collection of cards and Christmas cards and notes that's sent to me from my friends. But today I'm going to talk about a story behind this ice wine. Okay, I created this label as a souvenir to remind us of a special day, our high school class reunion. Well, you can see this is like pretty much 5 years ago. And that night, some of them I haven't seen for 30 years. So I met one of my classmates, and he basically left high school before the graduation. And he went to England to further his study. Well, in the beginning, we wrote a couple of letters in the beginning, but to stop soon after. We weren't that close anyways, because we were both busy with starting families or working. So that night, he said, "Hey, Grace, you are still alive, and so what's up to you lately?" So we exchanged a couple of updates, and I told him that I was working on raising funds for my mission trip next March. And then he said, "Well, what is a mission trip?" So I told him about what we do in Nicaragua through building relationships and sharing God's love to the locals. But in a split second, I was afraid to ask for donations. Like, not seeing each other for 30 years, and then the first time you met, you asked for donation, money? No way. I was scared. Oh my goodness. God, if you want me to do it, I'll do it. But you need to take care of all this awkward, embarrassed moment that comes along. So, I did. I asked. And, I'm hoping that he will, donate like $20 or $50. And then he said, "Well, here is my email, and let me know how I can support you." So in a week's time, I flew back, and basically I didn't follow up. But then I received an email. He said, "Hey, Grace, I remember you talk about your mission trip to Nicaragua. Where can I send the money to?" Wow. A couple of days later, I did receive the money. It was $1,500 in US dollars. So after that, I received the money, and we talked about kids and family, and I also sent him some updates about Nicaragua. But the thing is, through this bottle of ice wine, I've learned that I had rekindled the old pastime friendships. And then I also noticed that God is really working in his heart to support the people in Nicaragua, but through me. So I also think about, you never underestimate God's work. He makes impossible possible.
For the past few weeks, we've been talking about how we get lost, about what happens when we lose something that was really valuable to us. But today we're going to talk about what happens when you lose something that you later regret. It's difficult to lose something that really matters to you, but it makes it even worse when it's your fault that it's gone. You might feel sadness, guilt, embarrassment, or shame. You might try to keep it a secret because you're afraid of what others might say. Or maybe you just try to move on because remembering what you lost is too upsetting. Today we're going to hear a story about a young man who lost everything because of his mistakes and how sometimes we're kind of like him. The story is actually really relatable, so listen up. Maybe you did something to create distance between you and someone you love, or maybe you feel distant from God, either because of your choices or because you've never really been close to God before. Or you made a mistake that ruined everything, and you wish things would go back to how they used to be. So we're going to do a deep dive into the Bible to find out more. And throughout this series, we've been studying just one chapter of the Bible, that's Luke 15. And through Luke 15, we've read a series of stories that Jesus told. These were called parables, and each story told a different truth about something that got lost and then was found again. And Jesus told these stories to the Pharisees, who were religious leaders who had become arrogant, self-righteous, and dismissive of people that they believed were sinful. So Jesus told this series of stories to help the Pharisees see that they were wrong about themselves, about others, and most importantly, about God. So we're going to read Luke 15, verses 11 to 19 together. The parable of the lost son. Jesus continued, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, 'Father, give me my share of the estate.' So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, 'How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.'" I think we all can find something in common with this son. So he was impulsive. He made a big decision, apparently without getting any guidance or wisdom from others. He was hurtful. He may not have meant it this way, but his actions and words hurt his dad. By asking for his inheritance early, it was like him saying, "Dad, you're worth more to me dead than alive. Give me that money so that I don't have to depend on you or have a relationship with you anymore." Selfish. By not stopping to reflect on his actions that they might be hurtful to his family, the son was acting selfishly. He cared only about his money and his big adventure, not the people who loved him. Even though the son had safety, food, and money at home, he dreamed of going to this distant land where he imagined that he could do whatever he wanted to do, that he could spend his money and have fun, that he could find everything that he thought he was missing at home. And for a while, he lived the life he dreamed about, until he couldn't anymore. So the famine came. People lost jobs, and he struggled to find food. He worked for a pig farmer, and he even envied what the pigs ate. He had thrown everything away that had been good in his life. He threw away his family, his money, his livelihood, and maybe even his faith. And because of his bad decisions, he found himself disconnected from others and from God. So super desperate and ashamed, he decided to return home and beg his father to let him back in the household, but as a servant and not a son. So let's see how his father responded. We're going to read from Luke 15, verses 20 to 24. So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father said to his servants, "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." So they began to celebrate. What a welcome! Can you imagine that kind of response? After wasting his money, disgracing his father, bringing shame on himself and his family, his father was still filled with love and compassion for his son, and he even threw his arms around him to hug him and kiss him. Like the father in the parable, God is also so loving, kind, and patient with us. God isn't some angry old man waiting to throw lightning bolts at his sons and daughters who mess up. No, when we mess up and wander away, God is the loving Father who is always ready to welcome us home, and Jesus is God. So when you've made decisions or mistakes that lead you far from God, I hope that you remember what the son in this story discovered about his Father. When you feel lost, Jesus welcomes you back. And now with that gift, that we are always welcomed back by our Father, we can extend His welcome to others. So today, how can you be more welcoming? How can you be more welcoming in your friend groups, at school, in your family, in youth group? How can you embody Jesus' welcome to others? Just like the prodigal son in this story, we've all hurt and wandered away from God, even you. But no matter how far we've wandered, God still welcomes us back, and He always will. Okay friends, that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for following along with Lost and Found. If you liked this video, please give us a nice thumbs up and subscribe to this channel so you never miss an episode. We upload every Thursday weekly at noon, so be sure to stay subscribed. And don't forget to follow us on our Instagram at Cornerstone Youth Markham. All right friends, this has been fun and I'll see you in the next one. Be blessed. Bye!